When you're shopping for a pistol, one of the first choices you'll need to make is CO2 or green gas. CO2 or carbon dioxide usually comes in these 12-gram cylinders, as opposed to green gas, which is the same as propane, which you fill into the magazine itself. One of the biggest draws to CO2 is higher power output. CO2 is a higher pressure gas, and most CO2 guns will shoot close to 400 FPS out of the box. Now, I should mention that higher velocity does not necessarily mean a better gun. In the real world, 300 FPS versus 400 FPS is a smaller difference than you might think. I'd always rather go with the more consistent and accurate pistol. Also, make sure that you check your field for their FPS limit. We do have a part that will lower the velocity, but more on that later. What's going on? Vincent here, bringing you another Torontoairsoft video from the land that officially has the longest border in the world. Build a wall around that, Trump. Oh, technically, we share the border with them, but our side's better. Today, we're taking a look at the Elite Force TAC 1911 and its siblings, the KWC 1911A1 and the 1911 MEU. As our first CO2 video, we're also going to be covering some things you should know about CO2. Internally, all three of these pistols are the same. They're all OEM by KWC, so if you're hard-pressed to decide between the three, just go with the one that looks best to you. Now, externally, the Elite Force 1911 is the same as the KWC MEU, with the addition of a threaded barrel, different grips, a tan lower, as well as Elite Force trademarks. I'm glad to see that the threaded barrel is standard 14mm counterclockwise. If you want to get rid of that orange tip, I'd recommend soaking the threads in nail polish remover for 30 minutes. The 1911A1 is the classic look with A1 style trigger, hammer, beaver tail safety, a non-railed lower, and most importantly, the sights. Now, the 3-dot Novak style sights on the MEU are a lot better to use. Fit and finish on the pistol is pretty good. Coming in at 1.15 kilograms, it feels pretty substantial to hold. Now, there is a bit of slide play, but it's far from the worst that we've seen. But the barrel play, not so good. The safety is smooth, but I find the detent definitely too weak. A couple of times I went to shoot the pistol, only to find that I put the safety on by accident. The slide action is pretty good with nice satisfying sounds, but out of the box, it did have a bit of grittiness to it that I do think will go away over time though. Unlike green gas with its built-in silicone lubricant, CO2 is completely dry. It would be a good idea to pick up a little bottle of silicone lube to keep everything nice and moist. Oh yeah, there's a dirty joke in there somewhere. But that would be too easy. I'm gonna cover full pistol maintenance in a future video, but for now, the key points to add oil to are the slide rails, the magazine valves, and the blowback O-ring. Don't put oil into the barrel as that will mess up the hop-up. While we're inside, if you want to drop the FPS to indoor CQB levels, you can install a low power floating valve. This sits inside your air nozzle and restricts the amount of power per each shot. Let's take a look at that all-important trigger pull. Take up is 2mm, and then you hit 1mm of stiffer travel until the break. The brake is surprisingly stiff and is not as clean as I'd hoped. There is zero over travel, so that's good. The reset is pretty long, and though there's an audible click, there's also a smaller false reset before the actual reset. Overall, far from the worst trigger, but for a single action is a small letdown. Let's get some range time in. Load up the BBs like any other pistol and pop in a CO2 cartridge. Tighten the included Allen key so it's nice and tight. No need to go Hulk mode. Starting off at 400 feet per second, the 1911 goes strong for the first 3 mags. The 4th mag really starts to drop in power, and by the 5th, the final mag gave me 3 shots, or 59 shots in total. Personally, I'd run 1 CO2 for 3 mags and then switch out to a fresh one. Fortunately, the play in the barrel does not really hinder the accuracy as I feared. Out of the box, the hop-up was way too high for .2s, even at its lowest setting. I'd run 2.8s with this pistol. And there you have it, the 3 1911 siblings by KWC, with one that ran away from home. Overall, I'd say the shining quality is definitely that hard blowback. For that reason, I think it would make an excellent training pistol. There's definitely pros that CO2 has over green gas, but I'm definitely team green gas. What about you? Do you have a specific reason why you went with a certain gas? Let us know in the comments down below. As always, thanks for watching, subscribe for more content, and I'll catch you next time.